Hello, Alex here from London Typewriters, making a video to show you how to change a ribbon on this Remington manual typewriter. So the method I'm going to show you today is actually applicable to a lot of the other Remingtons out there, specifically those created in 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, 1930s even, 1950s as well. Now, what is the common factor with these Remington portables is actually this specific dimension spools. So as you can see, these are the original metal spools. And if you have a look at the plastic spools that are produced now, they're actually very different size and different specification. So unfortunately, it's not possible just to take the reproduction spool and put it on the Remington typewriter because it simply wouldn't fit. So this process involves taking the ribbon from the new spool and winding it onto the original metal spools. Now for this we will need obviously some new ribbons. I've got a whole pack right here. I'd also recommend to have some gloves because obviously the new ribbon can be quite inky. Then having some tweezers is always useful. And I would also say have some scissors. So the first thing to do is actually to take off the ribbon from these old spools. So the first thing I will do is use my tweezers to take off the old ribbon from the ribbon carrier, which is this part right here. So I'm going to gently take off, slide it out. Then I'm going to take it out from these little arms. So I'm going to move this arm to the side and pull up the spool. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to use my tweezers, take out the ribbon, and then slide this metallic arm right here to the side so that the spool is free to be removed. So now that I already removed the spools from the typewriter, I'm going to use these empty metallic spools for demonstration purposes. Now, once you remove the old ribbon on these spools, what you might find is that your spools might have these metallic clips attached to the spool itself. So these will be these right here. Now, if your spools do not contain these clips, then don't worry about it. What you can do, you can actually use a bit of string, for example, or a bit of rope to tie the ribbon onto the actual spools. You could probably also use some glue, maybe to tie one end of the ribbon to the actual spool. But you want to make sure that the ribbon is attached securely to the spool. So now I'm going to take the new ribbon from the new spools. Now, in my case, I'm using 1004 FN ribbon and spools. And this is how it looks like. Now, the actual ribbon is identical. So the dimensions, the height, and the length of the ribbon is the same for 1004 FN, 1001 FN, and 1066 FN. So don't worry about the size of the ribbon. As long as there's one of these three main groups, then the actual dimensions should be okay. So I'm going to remove the packaging. Now on groups 1004 FN and 1066 FN, what you will find is that there's going to be a metallic ring right here, an eyelet. Now this is used for the direction switch of the typewriter, but it would only make sense when it's used on the appropriate typewriter. Now because the Remington typewriters don't really use these eyelets, then we don't actually need them. So what I'm going to do is actually remove this eyelet by cutting this right here, this end of the ribbon, so that when we wind it on into the metal spools, we wouldn't actually utilize this eyelet. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to take this old spool and I'm going to gently place the ribbon. Let me just get some slack on the ribbon. And I'm going to put it right in the clip. I'm going to use my finger to clamp it in. And it's right there, it's attached. So the direction of the ribbon is actually quite important. So what you want to make sure that the ribbon is actually going to be in this direction. You want to make sure that the ribbon is not going to be in this direction. We want to make sure it's going kind of this way outwards. So now we attached the ribbon to this old spool. Let's move this to the side. I'm going to install the old spool onto the typewriter. So we will move this arm to the side. And we're going to put it right here. Okay. So then what we'll do is feed the ribbon around that pole right there. And then slide it right there. So now we'll use our finger to basically wind on the ribbon onto the spool. Okay, so now we approach the end of the ribbon on this side. As you can see, there is also an eyelet, a metallic eyelet here. So I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to cut it just after the eyelet. And I'm going to take my second spool and do the same thing. So take the ribbon. You want to make sure that the ribbon is in the correct position, so that the ribbon is flat and is curving around this pole here and is flat all the way there. You don't want to see something like this where the ribbon is kind of bent in the middle, for example. So we want to make sure that it goes in the right way. So now I'm going to take this, feed it through there, and then use the clip to secure it in place. Okay, so now it's clamped on there. So now I'm going to push this arm all the way to the left, let it fall, and then it will clip on there. And then I'm going to pull the ribbon for some slack and feed it through there around that pole. And now what we'll do is we'll feed the ribbon through the ribbon carrier. So the ribbon carrier is actually this part right here. So this is the part that goes up and down whenever you type. So I'm going to manually push it up so it's easier to see what I'm doing. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the ribbon goes the correct direction. So the ribbon has to go underneath these poles here, but under this hook. So I'm going to do one at a time. So first I'm going to put it behind the ribbon carrier, and I'm going to put the ribbon through this slot first. And then under the little hook, and then the same thing right here. And that's it. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.